Okay, so we'll start where we left off the last time. We have our ungrouped data here. You can see it's a little bit messy. If you were to kind of eyeball it, you might not be able to really see how many people are in which categories. Are certain categories very, are certain price ranges very popular, or certain price ranges not very popular. We're going to put it into table format now, and we can kind of picking the tables is really up to the researcher, or picking the categories is really up to the researcher. I suppose we're looking at a range here from 154,000 up to 380,000. We might go with maybe something like this. Now, yours, it'll be completely up to yourself. So we might go with 150,000 up to maybe 199,000. We'll just incorporate the 999 just in case there are 199,950 or something. So we have 150,000. So we're going to go with kind of 50,000 euro intervals as such. So we'll have 200,000, and we'll go up to 249,000. We'll go with 250,000 up to 299,000. Actually, we'll just modify that. We'll go with 300,000 up to 349,999, and we'll go with 350,000. We know we have a couple there, up to 400,000, say. Okay, so this is our categories. This then we'll have a midpoint, and this will have our frequency. So our midpoint there, 150 to 199, so we'll go with 175,000. And then we have 225,000. And then we have 275,000, and we have 325,000, and then we have 375,000. Okay, so that's our midpoint. Now our frequency. Now, what we could do, first of all, is we could count just manually how many are in each category. So we have 150 up to 199. We've it ordered there. So what we could do is we go to our last value. We can go equal count, open bracket, and 154 up to 198. We have 13. We could write 13 there. Okay, we could do that. We could do that for all the rest of the categories. But we can also use another function, which is countif. So we can go count if. So we need countif, and we need our range first. So this is our entire range, and we will just select it all, and comma, scroll back up. So we have D52 down, D2 down to D51. We make a note of that because instead of having to select it all the time, we can just type it in. Now our criteria, we want values up to, but not including 200,000. So we have to then consider here what we want. So between 0 to 200,000 or less than 200,000. So less than 200,000 would be sufficient. So we will go with our verticommas here, and then less than, but not equal to, because we could have some. Now we don't, as it happens, we don't have any that are equal to 200,000, but we could. So less than 200,000. We need to close the inverted commas, and we need to close the bracket, and we have 13 there as well. So just looking at that again, equal countif, we have our range, we have D2 to D51, we have our criteria then, which is less than 200,000. We've 13 houses at that price. So what about between 200 and 249? Again, we could manually count them, but we're just going to use a little bit more of a useful code. Now here we are looking for something that is between 200,000 and 249,999. Okay, so we have two elements here. Greater than or equal to 200,000, but also it has to be less than or equal to 249,000. So the code we use here is because we have two different criteria that we want to insert. We're going to use countifs. Okay, so countifs, countifs, and here we need two criteria for range 1. So again, we have it from earlier on, so we just write in D2 colon there, D, it was 51. That's our range, our values here, and it picks it up here. You can see it in blue. It's picking it up, the blue here, as indicated by the blue writing here. So then we want something that is greater or equal to 200,000. So greater or equal to 200,000. That's our first criteria. We will close the inverted commas and a comma there. And then we also want, in the same range, greater or equal to 200,000 and also less than or equal to 200. Oh no, not even 200, unfortunately. We can just go with less than 250,000. So we go for our range again. It was D2 to D51. And our new range then, our new criteria is, so it has to be greater than or equal to 200,000 and also less than 250,000. Close the bracket. Oh, we have 12. Okay, so we have 12 houses that are between 200,000 and 250,000. Okay, I'm going to use the same criteria here. I could copy the formula in, but I'll write it out again. So countifs, because we're looking for two different criteria. So we'll open the bracket. Our range we had D2, wasn't it, to D51 or 50 houses, comma. And then our first criteria, then we want something that is greater than or equal to 250,000. We know there's 3 houses there at that price. And then we just close off that criteria. And then we want also our new range, again, D2 to D51. So we want then our criteria to be less than 300,000. Okay, so less than 300,000. Close our bracket, and we have 15. Okay, so we have 15 houses there. That's a very popular price range. What's our mean? 248, 249. Okay. All right. Now let's see. We go with countifs because we want two criteria again here. So we want it to be a range D2 to D51, and then comma. So we need our criteria now. The little inverted commas will put us in the criteria range. Will tell us. You can see here underneath what it wants in bold. So here the criteria 1, the open, the inverted commas here means that we're actually now going to enter our first criteria, which means it has to be greater than or equal to 300,000. But also it has to be less than 350, so that's why we have the countifs. So we have a range again, D2 to D51, and we want it to be let's see, I need to put in, actually, I forgot. That's it. I was wondering why the blue wasn't coming up, because I had forgotten the inverted commas here. So our second criteria there, so is then less than 300. Close my criteria, close my bracket, and off I go. Okay. Now that doesn't look right. It doesn't look, oh yeah, 350, of course. Less than or equal to 350. So we have 5 houses there. Now we have our last criteria, above 350,000, and we know we've nothing 400,000. So what we can do is there and just go with a countif. We don't need two criteria, so countif, open bracket, our range D2 to D51. It's picked up my range there, and our criteria then will be greater than 350,000, so greater or equal to, I suppose. Greater or equal to 350,000. Close off my criteria, close off my bracket, and we have 5 houses there. Okay, so we have, okay, this is a nice distribution here. We have 13 houses between 150 and just under 200. We have 12 between 200 and 250, or just under. We have 15 between 250 and 299. We have 5 then, 300 to 350 and 350 to 400. So we have a lot of houses here in the middle of the distribution, and a good few lower price houses, but a few that are up. 5 houses probably bringing up the mean. Like the mean is lying in here. The mean was what? 248,000. So the mean is in here. 12 houses there. But these ones here, these high priced houses are dragging up the mean. Okay. And that's where we leave it to. That's where we will leave it at. Actually, we might graph it. We'll just graph it there in another few minutes. So to graph the distribution, we are selecting our categories here. We're not going to look at the midpoint at the moment. We're going to select our categories here. So, and I'm pressing Control, and then I'm selecting these ones here. So by pressing Control, I'm able to select values from 2 non-adjacent columns. So I'll do it again. I select all those, then I press and hold Control and select my frequencies. I go into Insert, and I go into Column and my graph here. Now, it's not exactly as I would like it to look at the moment, but that's fine. We'll modify it now in a second. So we have 150 to 199, 200 to 249, 250 to 299. Now what I want to do is I want to merge all my lines there on my chart. So I go to Format. Let's do it again there. So I click on one. I go to left click Format Data Point. I don't want any gap. And I close. I don't want any gap because it's technically, because you're looking at continuous data, no gap between the values here. So you can see we have a lot of observations down here, the lower end. The upper end of the distribution here dragging up our mean. I want to also just modify my chart a little bit. I have to modify that now again. So chart title, house prices in county X, and price range, and I put in here back, double click there, frequency. Okay, now I click on it again, Format Data Labels. I don't want any gap. Close here. Okay, so I'll just move it down here a little bit out of the way. Now, graph doesn't look fantastic. I might want to change a little few things on it. 150 to 199, that could be sterling, that could be dollars. If I go in up here and I just put in the euro sign, it'll be picked up in the graph there. So I just pick it up there, 350, and that looks a bit better there. Now I could even go the whole hog and put it in there as well if I want. So really just to neaten it up a bit more. And the last one. Okay, so there's my house prices in County X, and so you have your mean, median, mode of the ungrouped. The group data then, you saw how to do that in class, and you can do that yourself. You can do it on Excel if you like. It involves a lot of open brackets and double brackets and so on. To be honest, I don't think there's any real learning involved in that, but you can work it out yourself by hand, and it'll give you a bit of practice for MCQ as well. So you can work that out yourself by hand there, like we did today in class, So that's our house prices in County X, and we could probably remove that if we want. We don't need that. And spread it out a little bit. Okay, and the next recording may be another example of